Ton Adebisi had everything a man could buy: houses, cars, influence, employees who spoke to him in polished accents. People greeted him with respect, but the respect was always tied to his bank account. Behind all the comfort, he carried a loneliness that money couldn't soften. It wasn't the loneliness of being alone, but the kind that comes from being surrounded by people who only see what they can take. Every woman he dated came with hidden expectations. Some acted sweet, but their eyes were always on his lifestyle. Some already imagined the soft life before knowing who he truly was. One afternoon he overheard a girlfriend say, "If not for his money, I beg who Ton be." That sentence broke something inside him. It felt like someone ripped off the mask of affection people showed him. That night he stood on his balcony, looking over the blinking lights of Eco Meridian. He wanted something real, something that wasn't filtered through wealth. A thought formed slowly, quietly, dangerously. If he wanted sincerity, he needed to step out of the version of himself that attracted the wrong people. He decided to disappear, not physically, but socially. He would hide his wealth. He would dress like a man trying to get by, move around without drivers or security, and meet people who didn't recognize him. Only then could he see who treated him like a human being. The next morning, he walked into his massive closet filled with suits and shirts imported from places most people never traveled to. Instead of picking any of them, he opened an old storage box containing clothes from his university days, faded shirts, worn jeans, slippers that had survived hostel life. He put them on and hardly recognized himself. He took a small stash of emergency cash and stuffed it into an old backpack. His gateman stared at him like he had seen a ghost. "Oga Ton, now you be this. Wetin happen?" "Just trying something different," Ton said. His driver asked if he should warm the Bentley. "No. I'm working today," Ton replied. Everyone looked confused as he stepped out of the mansion gate and blended into the noise of Lagos. The farther he walked, the more invisible he became, and strangely, the more human he felt. Nobody greeted him with fake respect. Nobody cared who he was. He was just another man on the street. Hours later, tired and sweating under the harsh sun, he walked into a small boutique named Mama Soda's kitchen. The smell of stew, pepper, and firewood wrapped around him like a memory of simpler times. The place was small and humble, but it felt warm. That was when he saw her daughter, a young woman moving between tables with quiet energy. Simple clothes. Clean. Calm. No attempt to impress anybody. She carried herself like someone who life had tested, but hadn't broken. "Brothers, you look tired. You want cold water?" she asked. Her voice held no pretension, no flirtation, just kindness. He nodded, and she brought him water. He drank it like he'd been thirsty for a week. She asked what he wanted to eat, and he ordered rice and stew. As he ate, he noticed how she treated everyone the same: no special smile for rich-looking customers, no disgust for rough-looking ones. Ton returned the next day. And the next. Soon she recognized him and teased, "Oh, bro, Strecker don't come again." For the first time in years, Ton enjoyed a conversation that wasn't polluted by expectations. She didn't ask what he did for a living. She didn't ask about his family or his money. She asked things like, "You dey chop well? You dey rest? You dey stress yourself?" Nobody had asked him questions that simple and genuine in a long time. Things changed one Thursday when a group of rough-looking boys stormed into the buka. They were loud, impatient, and clearly dangerous. "Oya Ife, where are our money? No try us this week." Oh. Ton instantly knew Ifeoluwa was in trouble. She tried to explain that Mama Sod was in the hospital and that she needed 2 more days to pay what they were owed. The boys didn't care. One pushed her slightly, another grabbed the pot and threatened to take it away. The room went silent. Ton sat in the corner, muscles tight, battling with himself. Stepping in meant exposing who he was, but watching her struggle wasn't an option. When one of the boys tried to walk out with the pot, Ton stood. "Leave her alone." The boys turned slowly, shocked that someone dressed like a broke man had the courage to speak. They mocked him. "Who be this poverty ambassador? Sit down, I beg." But Ton repeated, calmly, "Give her 2 days." They ignored him until he unzipped his backpack. They expected him to pull out a few crumpled notes. Instead, he brought out bundles, neat, crisp, wrapped. The entire buka froze. "How much does she owe?" he asked. They mentioned the amount. He counted it, dropped it on the table, and said, "Take your money. Don't ever harass her again." The boys changed immediately. Their tone softened. "Oga, no vex. We no." They took the money quietly and left. When they were gone, everyone stared at Ton. Ifeoluwa's hands shook. "Brothers, who are you?" There was no point hiding anymore. "My name is Ton Adebisi," he said softly. "I'm not poor. I came here in disguise to meet people who didn't didn't know my wealth. The disappointment on her face hurt more than an insult. So you were studying us? I wanted to know who could treat me without expectations. You should have just been honest from day one, she said, eyes moist but steady. Trust only works if it goes both ways. She didn't shout. She didn't make a scene. She just went back to work, leaving Ton sitting there, wealthy, powerful, and painfully humbled. Over the next days he returned, now dressed simply but normally. Customers whispered. Some tried to impress him with fake accents, but Ifeoluwa stayed polite and distant. Ton approached her one afternoon. I don't want this to ruin everything, he said. You're not a bad person, she replied, but you lied to see how I would behave. That one pains more. He apologized again. She didn't reject him, but she didn't open up either. Trust needed time, and she wasn't rushing it. So Ton did something even he didn't expect. He helped with work. He washed plates, cleaned tables, sliced vegetables, and carried rice bags. Customers kept whispering, not understanding why a billionaire was doing manual work. But Ifeoluwa understood one thing: effort reveals sincerity. Slowly, the tension between them softened, not because of his money, but because of his consistency. After 3 weeks, Mama Sod returned from the hospital. She listened to everything that happened and called the two of them aside one evening. She looked at Ton first. You have money, yes, but life is not about money alone. If you want people to be real with you, you too must show yourself without fear. Then she turned to Ifeoluwa. Don't let past wounds stop you from seeing good people. Trust is risk, but sometimes the reward is bigger than the fear. Her words felt like a doorway opening. As days passed, Ifeoluwa gradually became her normal self with Ton again. Not overly friendly, not closed off, just real. Then something unexpected happened. One Saturday, while Ton was eating quietly, 3 sleek SUVs parked outside. His board members stepped out in suits. They looked uncomfortable entering a buka filled with sweat, smoke, and plastic chairs. Sir, you missed the meeting, one said. We've been looking for you everywhere, another added. One of them whispered, Sir, people like us shouldn't be seen in places like tea. Ton raised a hand. Don't finish that sentence. They froze. He looked around the buka. This place taught me more about people than the boardroom ever did. If that makes me less respectable to you, then maybe you don't understand leadership. The board members exchanged nervous glances and left. People in the buka smiled with quiet pride, but Ifeoluwa didn't react with excitement. She simply looked at him differently. For the first time, she saw a man who didn't hide behind his wealth. Day after day, Ton kept coming, not to impress anyone, but because he genuinely enjoyed the place. He helped upgrade the buka, buying new pots, stronger fans, better chairs, and paying Mama Soda's hospital bills, but he did everything quietly, with no branding, no attention. One day, Ifeoluwa approached him. If I was rude the first day you came, would you still have helped me? I wasn't looking for perfect behavior, he said. I just wanted sincerity. That day you paid the debt. I didn't want to owe anybody emotional favors. I was scared. I know, he replied softly, but kindness shouldn't demand anything in return. For the first time, she fully believed him. Something in her heart relaxed. One calm Sunday evening, they sat outside the buka watching the sky fade into orange. The street was quieter than usual. Ifeoluwa looked at him. You wanted to know who would treat you right without knowing your wealth. Yes, and you found your answer. I did. What did you learn? She asked. Ton took a breath. That wealth attracts attention, but only character earns loyalty. Only sincerity builds connection. Only truth attracts truth. She nodded slowly. I can't promise I'll understand everything about your world, but I can promise to treat you the same, whether you have or you don't. And I'll always show you who I am, he said. No disguises again. There was no tension between them anymore. No hidden agendas. Just two honest people who had seen the best and worst of each other. Months later, the story of the billionaire who disguised himself to find real people leaked online. It spread everywhere, not because of the money, but because of the lesson. If you remove wealth from a wealthy man, you will meet his true friends. If you remove poverty from a poor man, you will meet his true enemies. But if you remove every disguise from both, only the heart remains. Ton found truth not by pretending to be poor, but by learning what it meant to be human. And Ifeoluwa proved that good people still exist, even when life tries its best to break them. In the end, the greatest treasure Ton discovered wasn't hidden in wealth or disguise. It was the rare person who